What's up? This is Brad with Be Real. Hey, this is the second part of kind of my story, if you will. If you didn't see the first one, man, what's wrong with you, man? Go back and watch it. Come on, man, help me out here. Um, it, I was sitting here laughing because my good friend Cash, that's in the studio with me, they put all this stuff in front of you, and then they go, "Okay, dude, go be natural." I'm like, bro, I got a headset on and like an 80-pound mic in my face. I don't think I'm gonna be, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's just part of the deal. Like I'll probably start every podcast this way. I'm just so grateful to be here. I don't believe in coincidences, and I'll tell you another deal that is kind of, I believe this is why this is part of my destiny. Is so this is probably 30 years ago. I went to this meeting on a Sunday night, and I was sitting there minding my own business. And all of a sudden, this lady is a husband and wife team. All of a sudden, this lady walks over to the stage, and she points right at me, and she goes, "You will help thousands and thousands of people." And I was like, bro, say something about money. Because at the time, I was broke. Like, I was so broke that it was one of those deals. I don't know if any of you guys were broke when you were kids. When I turned in my driveway at my house, if I hit the garage door opener and it didn't open, I knew the electricity had been turned off. I mean, that's how broke I was. So when this lady goes, "You will help thousands and thousands of people," I was like, man, please say something. But really, actually, I learned later that she did say about money, because I have found that the more people that I help, that both spiritually, karma, whatever you want to call it, money has a tendency of following. But I will say that I'm in a transition phase from my previous employer, and I never felt like even though there's 500-600 salespeople, 65 sales managers, I never really felt like there was I had achieved that deal of helping thousands and thousands of people. So that's why I'm excited about this. Also, is it gives me a platform that I can help more people. So we ended the last time of this deal that I had in my childhood. Success, failure, hard times, good times, homelessness, being shot at. There's different things that happen throughout my whole life. And like I said, I'll go into the homeless deal more later. So where we're at now is I get married to Amber, my third wife, and it's just amazing. And I'll tell you a couple of things that made it amazing is that I'll never forget one time. She very intelligent lady. She grabs my face and she goes, "No matter what happens, Brad, no matter what happens, I'm never leaving you." And I found out later why that meant so much to me, but I can't tell you the burden that was lifted up off of me. I'm still working on some abandonment issues, but it dang sure helped. So during this time, we've been married 4 or 5 years. I'm still doing the drinking thing. It's wearing on her last nerve, and I understand why. We're staying in touch with our pastor. He suggests Celebrate Recovery, finds a place for me to go, Asbury Church on Monday night. So I start going there. Well, I ain't committed to stop drinking, but I'm going to go just because it's something I know I need to do. That was one thing about me is when people said, "Hey, Brad, I think you have a drinking problem." Like, no kidding. Yeah, I never denied it. I never denied I had a problem, which is one of the big steps in the step of recovery is first admitting you have a problem, then realizing it is bigger than you are, seeking help. Those are huge. And any issue is, okay, dude, you have a problem. It's probably, you're probably going to need some help, and then seek help. So I start going to this Celebrate Recovery. Man, the first nights I get there, and you'll hear me say this more. Like sitting in front of this camera, no problem, man. I literally could leave this studio, go to a place that has 15,000 people in it, and start speaking, no problem. But man, you put me at a table with somebody I don't know, and I have to do one-on-one small chit-chat stuff. So anyway, that's how Celebrate Recovery started. I was going through through the deals. I was going the majority of the time, but I hadn't made the big decision to stop drinking, which is why I was going. But luckily I was going because I ran into like Frank, who ended up being my sponsor, Skip, Jim, Tim, all these people that were going there that, like I said, I don't believe in coincidence. These people were put into my life so that when I did hit bottom, they were going to be there for me. So it was a lifesaver that Pastor Mark suggested that I go there. Can I tell you something else funny I just thought of? In podcast one, I tell you about Missy, our good friend, introduces my wife and I, and then we decide we're going to get married. So I'm backing up a little bit because I just hit me. So we decide we're going to get married. So we're like, well, heck, let's go to lunch with Missy. Tell her we're getting married. She sits down. We order food. We go, Missy, we got the greatest news. I got to tell you something, man. Amber and I are getting married. Dude, she freaks out. She goes, okay, stop right now. Here's the deal. I want no credit going forward for anything that comes out of this deal, but ain't nobody coming back putting this on me. This is y'all's decision, and you guys, this is totally up to you. I endorse it. I support it, but I don't want the positive, nor do I want any negative. And so we always tell that story. It's hilarious. So anyway, I'm going to Celebrate Recovery, and here comes one of the big storms, right? Is I take a bunch of people down to Mexico, my family. It was like 9 people, all my kids, some spouses, a girl that's hung out with us, that's helped us with the kids. We all go down to Mexico. Well, it was great. Trip was great. Turned out great. Hotel was great, except it was an all-inclusive, all you can drink. And it was one of those times, only a couple times in my life, that the wheels fell off. I'll tell you what, it's so bad that this was the first time ever I was scared. And now, mind you, I'd been homeless sleeping under a bridge, and I wasn't scared of drinking or pulling up from drinking. But I literally was scared that I was not going to be able to pull this deal up. And so I actually called from Mexico. My guy, Frank, from Celebrate Recovery, he's like, you're okay, man. Just get home, and we'll start working on it. So sure enough, I just keep drinking till I go to leave. And then I remember getting to the airport in Mexico, because once you get on a tear like that, you just want to keep going. I get to the airport in Mexico. I look at my wallet, all my credit card gone and all my money's gone. So my wife had the presence of mind that she snatched all that stuff. So that was the first day. March 22nd was the first day I didn't drink. Wasn't a choice. I had no money on me. So I get back from Mexico, and I'm telling you all this because whether it's addiction or whatever it is, I want to share with you the successes. Like I said, I've had a tremendous amount of success. In my opinion, I was that guy that my parents were not wealthy. My parents did not have a lot of money. So for me to be able to put my kids through college, live in a nice house, I was able to change the trajectory for the next generation. So any of these things I share, I hope I want to help. If you have a problem with addiction, I want to be that guy that helps you with that. But a lot of these things of overcoming obstacles have a common denominator in them. And so I get back from Mexico, show up at Celebrate Recovery. I meet with Frank, and I'll never forget it. They say a wise man doesn't have all the answers. A wise man has great questions and great statements. And so he sits down and he asks me this question. He goes, hey, Brad, is drinking causing you any problems? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's causing me problems professionally, personally. Yeah. He goes, then you have a drinking problem. And I don't know what it was about hearing that. It was just a wake-up call. And then he goes, okay, let me ask you another question. He said, you've been successful at life, right? He goes, but you can't kick this deal, right? I go, yeah. He goes, you know why? Because you're not going to be able to do it by yourself. You need to put good people around you. And I was like, oh, man. So those two things right there were just huge in wake up call of my path of coming out of this deal. And then he set up, Monday night you go here, Tuesday night you go here, Wednesday night you go here. And then and plus I didn't want to end up having to go to a hospital and have to tell everybody I had this problem. So I was committed to this. But also I had good people around me. Like my wife was wanting me to stop drinking, obviously. My kids were. So I had a lot of things in place that could help me once I had made this decision. And now all of a sudden he starts putting all these people in my life that don't drink also. So now I have different playmates. I'm in a different playgrounds. So I start to come out of this deal. One of the big things that was, and I'm not judging anybody with any addiction, but if you go to sober recovery, you go to this what they call a big group, and then you break off into little groups, and you go into a room with people that have with you. And I just happened to look around one night in the beginning of these steps to recovery, and I remember listening and looking around. And I go, man, not one guy in this room, and I am not judging. Not one guy in this room has a wedding ring on. I'm still married. And as I listened to their stories, all of them, their kids had alienated them or had left them. And I said that in my earlier podcast, man, just through the grace of God, my kids never gave up on me. And my wife never will give up on me. And so then I start the way out of this deal, right? So one of the big things that happened through this process is one of the steps to celebrate recovery is you make a list of people you need to forgive, and you need to make a list of people that you need to forgive. And so there's just two lists. So I went through the process. You call the people you're comfortable with calling, tell them you're sorry. You forgive the people that you need to forgive. A lot of them probably might not be around or whatever, but you make a list and a conscious effort to forgive those people. So then after you're done with that, then you meet with your sponsor. I go through my list. He goes, oh man, that's great. He goes, your name's not on this list. And I go, what do you mean your name's not on this list? He goes, did you forgive yourself? I never even thought about that. And then he gets into the whole deal about, he's just an amazing guy, Frank is. He goes, hey, let's go back to your dad deal. He goes, I see here you forgave your dad. That's great. I'm glad you forgave you. But I want to ask you a question. He goes, tell me about your grandpa. Tell me about your dad's dad. I go, man, he was terrible. He painted steeples up in Ohio, never home. My dad ended up, because my grandma couldn't even feed him, she ended up having to take him at orphanages at the time. That was the time, back in the 40s or 30s and 40s, that they don't have the tools that they have now. There's no welfare. There was no food stamps and that. So she literally would have to take him to an orphanage to feed him until my grandpa came back, or she would come up with enough money where she could take care of her own kids. Well, I mean, that takes a toll on a kid, And you can learn parenting if you put a conscious effort in learning parenting. But a lot of the parenting you pick up through, they say people only remember 10% of what you say, but they'll remember 85% of your actions the rest of their lives. So what did my dad have to learn from? My dad, this is what Frank's done. He said, well, tell you, he goes, okay, so what role model did your dad have on being a good dad? Bro, all of a sudden the light come on, and I was like, not good at all. He goes, but your dad was a better dad than his dad. I go, he dang sure was. He goes, and you're a better dad than your dad was. I was like, yeah, I made a conscious effort. That's something it's very important to me. No matter, I might not have made all the right decisions. I might have temper. I drank, all those other things, but my kids know I love them and would do anything in the world for them. And he's like, so then why don't we just give your dad a little grace? I mean, I know you've forgiven him, but let's just move on, man. In fact, let's not even just forgive him. Let's give him credit for all that he was, considering all that he was facing. And I'm just telling you, I remember leaving his house on a Saturday afternoon, and it was a game changer for me. Like, when I walked outside, I remember the sky being bluer. I literally remember I was looking up at the sky, man, the sky's bluer. The grass is greener. And you know what it was? It was forgiveness. And I might mention this again at the end, but forgiveness is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. That it is huge. So then I get moving along. Once I said before is, you make right decisions, you have good actions, your life improves. It always has gone that way. Well, what's happened with me is I had this reoccurring addiction issue. And so what would happen is I would get through my book of life, and then when I got so far in the book, I'd start drinking again. Now I got to rewind and basically go back and reread the book, because you do certain things, you have certain outcomes. And normally, if that caused you a problem before, if you do it again, it's probably going to cause you a problem again. But you get sucked into, well, it'll be different this time. So I'm making right decisions. One of the big deals in Celebrate Recovery is they say is, well, what do I do next? Man, you just do the next right thing. Well, then what do I do? You just do the next right thing. And then what do? You just do the next right thing. And I learned a lot, and there are a lot of the people, and like I said in the earlier podcast, you do learn a lot from people that are succeed, but also you can learn from people that have made mistakes, and that's why I share my mistakes with you, is because you can learn from those. And so one night I was working the door at greeting people at Celebrate Recovery, and this guy walks in, and I was loving him. Hey, how's it going? Never met him before. So he was there. He had a court date later that week, and he was telling me all this stuff. He goes to turn off. He goes to turn away, and goes into the large group, and he mumbles under his breath. I said, hey, man, what'd you say? He goes, man, I just wished I'd have listened to my mom, which I'm sure we all feel we wish we'd have listened to our moms at some point in time. He goes, I wished I'd have listened to my mom years ago. And I said, really, what'd your mom say? She said, son, you can let go of that boulder of addiction and come back up. She said, you don't have to hold on to that boulder to the bottom of the lake. Drop the boulder and come back up. And he had realized that now. He had dropped the boulder, but he was probably facing some things from his bad decisions. So I'm going along. Things get better. I go from being, a single manager, a store manager where I'm at, to multiple store manager, to taking on more responsibility, doing the right things, just keeps going. God keeps blessing me, to the point where I'm GM of sales, national sales manager, and I'm extremely blessed. I'm doing extremely well. And this is where I'm going to the next big storm, but there's a positive that comes out of every storm, I feel like, is then the company that I was working for, I went to Oklahoma City a couple days a week. This time I happened to go to Oklahoma City on a Friday, roll into this guy's office. He goes, hey, we're going another direction. I'm like, going another direction? What are we doing? I'll help, whatever it is. He goes, yeah, we're going another direction. Here's your severance pay. I'm like, 34 years. I came to this company, one shirt, one pair of pants, one tie. Now I'm the national sales manager, and we're going another direction. Hey, those things I cannot control. The only reason I'm even sharing this with you is I feel like God said, go tell people what happened. I will never say anything negative about the company. I was extremely well taken care of. My kids all went to college, braces, cars, down payments on houses. All of those things came from that opportunity. You don't control everything that happens to you. And I realized this in another situation I was in life. We always want to look at life like we're the pitcher. We're controlling everything. But really, we're not. Really, we're the batter. And we don't control the pitches. Our job in life is to make contact with the ball. And so this is one of those deals. The pitcher threw me a different ball. That particular time was a curveball. I wasn't ready for it. I'll tell you, though, I was in shock. I left there. I had to call my wife. And when I called my wife, I said, like, Amber, here's the deal. I got to tell you something. This is not a joke. I just got fired from my job. I said, but I cannot have you worry, because I have enough going on in my head. But if this negative affects you or the kids, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just need you to be strong for me. Dude, she never wavered. She like a rock, man. She never wavered, still to today. So we happened to have this trip planned to California, so we got the heck out of town, and it probably saved my life because I had a different environment there again. I was hanging out with different people. It got us away from, the situation we were in until we got some direction on where we were going to go. And we were talking, and it was beautiful. Weather was beautiful out there. They were keeping me busy while we were out there. And about the second, I want to tell you something. This hit me about the second or third day. We're out there, which I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety. I mean, I'm keeping a stiff upper lip in front of the fam, and but man, in the middle of the night, I mean, I just lost my job that I had for 34 years. Don't know where I'm going. I'm over 60 years old. What's going to happen? But you know what? I didn't control anything. I didn't do anything to get me to where I was, in my opinion. I just applied myself where I needed to apply myself, and I was taken care of. So about the second or third day, we're in California. I'm trying to keep my ducks in a row, but I'm not, overly great, especially at night when everybody went to sleep. We talked about that in the first podcast. When I'm alone, I don't do very well. So I literally would have to sit up in the middle of the night and put my feet on the side of the bed just to gain my composure. So anyway, I wake up the next day. So about the third day, we're in California. And I'm all of that to tell you this. About the third day, we're in California. We go to Universal Studio. Me, Amber, and my beautiful daughter, Avery. So if I had not mentioned, when I married Amber, she had a son, Aiden. And so we had hers, which I call him my bonus son, or I call him Aiden. And I told him, you can call me your bonus dad. You can call me dad. Don't call me stepdad. I don't call him my stepson. So that's just a deal we had. So I had the original three. I had my bonus son, Aiden. And then we had another child, Avery. So we're all three in California. And we're going through Universal Studios. And all of a sudden it gets real busy, kind of bottlenecked in Universal Studios. And I start to pull Amber and Avery kind of closer to me because I want to make sure. And like I've said, I've never heard an audible word from God. But we're cruising. But it's crazy how when you're in a storm, you will listen. You might think you have the world by your tails when everything's going your way. But when a storm hits, it does cause you to listen. It does cause you to inventory what's going on in your life. It does cause you to purge things that are not working, lean on more things that are working. So anyway, I'm going through Universal Studios, and I kind of pull the fam close to me because it's, kind of a hectic situation. And I just felt this presence of God. It says, hey, Brad, that's what I'm doing for you right now, buddy. I understand you're going through this difficult situation, but I'm not further away from you than I am. I'm pulling you closer. We're all still together on this deal. And things got better for me in California. And so we're sitting around trying to figure out what we're going to do, what's going to happen. And I hear my wife up in the kitchen telling one of her friends what happens. And then she goes, well, we'll figure something out. God's got a plan for us, last couple of years, Brad was with this company. He said when he retired, he wanted to go do some public speaking. He wanted to do some podcasts. He wanted to do some business consulting. Those were things he's passionate about doing. And she goes, maybe this was just a way for God to give him a nudge. And I remember laughing, going, a nudge? Bro, I just got thrown off a cliff, and I don't feel like I got a parachute. But she did, when she said that and she hung up, I go, hey, maybe that is the deal. Maybe we that's what we do is we, created this company, Be Real. And that was, I don't hate giving her credit, but that was actually her idea. One night she said that, she said, Be Real, and came up with the whole idea of it. And then we started reaching out to friends before we even got back from California, started working towards that. And we don't know where it's going to take us, but we know this. It kept our minds busy when we were in the storm, and it gave us some direction, and it gave us hope, and I got back, started calling people, telling people what was happening. And that's obviously, you're never thankful for, losing a career, losing a job. But I'm telling you, there has been a lot that has come out of this deal. And The presence of good and the presence of great things happening and new people coming into your life, it's been crazy. That when you need it the most, they have a tendency of being there. Like I said in the earlier podcast, I said, when those storms really hit, it just seems like, you're in a tough situation, wind's blowing all around you, and all of a sudden, God pushes his face through the clouds, and you're like, he's still here. But this has just been overwhelming. I mean, I came home, did what he told me to do. He told me, tell people, because I can't help you unless people know what happened. He said, you need to be grateful. I was like, okay, I'm going to work on that. But I had two choices. Your mind has two options. Your mind can be grateful, or you can see lack. And so I had to make a conscious effort to be grateful, because that's what he has to do. Go help people and then glorify his name. That was the only thing he said. He said, tell people, be grateful, help people, and then help people and then glorify his name. He said, you do those things, money will take care of itself. And my wife has told me that every time I get wound up on the deal, she's like, well, okay, that's what you're going to do, but what about what everybody else is doing? And I'm like, okay, you're right. But I don't know where all these answers are going to take us. I know that I'm extremely thankful for where I'm at currently. I'm extremely thankful for being here with you all. Had this not happened, like almost every time, man, I'll tell you this, some of the biggest things that I have prayed for in my life never came to pass. But later on, I figured out that there's a reason that they came to pass, because there was something else that was supposed to happen. So a lot of what you do, you don't control. So I just want to encourage you where you're at. Just do the next right thing, whatever it is. Don't try to control things. If certain things are moving you a certain direction, you better figure out, you better transition, which is what's happening with me, and adapt, transition, stay positive. Take the next right step. Whatever door opens, walk through it. Don't be afraid. So that's all I have on that, and that's how we got to where we're at now, doing these podcasts. So to wrap this deal up, trust the purpose in the struggle. Nobody likes struggle, but I'm just telling you, I'm sitting here today alive, but I'm here today. And I would not be the person I am. Am I thankful for the struggles? No. Do I wish my whole life would have been, all tulips and lollipops? Yeah, I wish that. But I'll tell you this too. This kind of hit me when I was preparing for these. Nobody goes and listens to some guy speak and he goes, "Yep, my grandpa was loaded, my dad was loaded, I'm loaded. Have a great day." If you think about it, the people that have made it, that you really get involved with or like following their lives, they're people that have had, terrible things happen to them and they've succeeded. They've had hardship happen to them and they've succeeded. It's the old rags to riches deal. Nobody loves rags to riches stories more than we do. And so that's also part of why I share this with you too. Don't go it alone, man. If you can make it alone, you're a loner, that's cool. But if you're not getting the results you want by doing it by yourself, then don't go it alone. There's always strength in numbers. It's never too late to start over. Sometimes you choose to, sometimes you choose not to, but it's never too late to start over. The final chapter in your book has not been written. I don't care how old you are, what you're at. That's partly why I'm here also, is my final chapter is not written. There's something he wants me to do. There's something I need to do. There's people I can help. I'm going to go do that. I will tell you through all of this, not consciously at the time did I know this, but perseverance and grit, invincibility, they are huge. You will succeed if you believe you will succeed. I'm walking proof of that deal. And I have not helped this out in very many ways, and I still am successful. No matter what has happened to me, because I want to succeed. I believe I'm going to succeed. That belief and your believing in you is extremely, extremely important. let me just wrap it up from here. I hope I've shared some things with you that are helpful with you, and I hope that like I said earlier, is in a previous podcast. I get a lot of attention, and I'm thankful for the attention. I've been blessed. I've said that a million times. But really and truthfully, the reason I sit here and I share with you some of these embarrassing things, and I share with you some of these personal things, because everybody's going through them, and that there's lights in the studio. There's people in the studio that are helping me. But I'm telling you, man, I don't want the light to shine on me. I need the light to be a reflector into the darkness. I need other people to hear my voice and know that they're not the only ones. They're not alone. I understand. I have been in a complete state of absolute hopelessness. It is a scary situation to be in. But I want to be that person that tells you you're never alone. There is always hope. Just keep moving. Just keep doing the next right thing. Hey guys, thanks for letting me share my story. And always, man, always go have a great day and always be real.